welcome back to another video. We about to watch another AnimeUproar video. I was looking at this and I was like, hey, what video have I not done? What video have I not done by this dude? Because I done did Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball, some other stuff. I said, and then I saw, I haven't done, he did a Hunter x Hunter one. I haven't done that one yet, so let's do it. Every Zoldyick family member and their power explained. Hunter x Hunter. Bet. Hey, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to his channel. I have the original video down in the description below. Like the video, like his video. Hey, let's get into it, bro. Let's get into it.
What's going on, everyone? It is AxelBeat here for
What's with your voice? Because you don't. Oh, it's someone different.
AnimeUproar, and as you know, anime has tons of assassins spread throughout.
Don't sound like the same
but today
dude, but
I'm focusing
listen.
on the Zoldyick family specifically.
Zoldyick.
I still remember when I learned about Killua's family and how different and interesting they were, so I'm super excited to get into it.
Hey, y'all, no, I can't really talk, bro. I'm sorry. I mispronounce words all the time. People don't got used to it at my school and stuff. My family don't got used to it, but I mispronounce words, so y'all gonna have to get used to it.
If you've been enjoying our Hunter x Hunter content and you want to see more, show some support by leaving a like and commenting on this video. It is the best way to let us know that you want to see more, and it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And of course, remember to subscribe so you always see our content as soon as it comes out. Finally, you can also follow AnimeUproar on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar, or you can follow myself at ExcellianYT. And of course, this video might contain some Hunter x Hunter spoilers, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. The Zoldicks are considered to be the greatest family of assassin in the world of Hunter x Hunter, with each of them having unique and deadly skills, most of whom are immune to all poisons, as well as resistant to pain and electricity, while also being strong enough to open the 16-ton door guarding their estate before they even learn Nen. Even as children, they are prolific, for example, Killua reaching the 200th floor of Heaven's Arena at the age of 8, or Kaluto joining the Phantom Troop at the age of 10. Each Zoldyick begins training immediately from birth in general assassin techniques and martial arts. However, as they grow older, they can begin to focus on specific talents or fields. So, with the basics of the Zoldicks out of the way, let's get into the individual members. As I think it makes the most sense, let's start out with Killua. Killua acts as a secondary protagonist for much of the series, and he is the third oldest child in his family. While he is the current heir to the Zoldyick assassination business, and the family as a whole, Killua doesn't really want to fulfill that role. This is to the point that he even runs away from home to become a hunter, something which changes just about everything for him as he meets Gon during his hunter exams and gains a whole new perspective on life. Killua always had this really cool duality to him. He can go from this mischievous kid who's a little bit too honest and sometimes offensive, to someone who is deadly serious and brutal. Just in terms of psychology, Killua is incredibly interesting. He's this character who was tortured and abused growing up, but remains fairly optimistic in nearly every situation. There's only really one time that this optimism fades. He was brainwashed so that whenever he came across a stronger enemy, for example his brother Illumi, he would be forced to run. However, once Killua removes the pin which was implanted in his brain, he starts to overcome that fear very quickly. In general, Killua is a balance for Gon. When Gon is blindingly optimistic and hopeful, Killua acts as a way to bring some reality to the series. And when Gon has a descent into madness, Killua then acts as a voice of reason and hope. So, let's talk about Killua's abilities. As mentioned previous, he is immune to poison, he can deal with electricity and pain pretty easily, but his assassin training also leads him to be extremely fast and strong as well. In less tangible forms, this also helped lead him to having tremendous ability to size up other people, understanding how strong they are in relation to himself and others with just a glance. Something which Gon doesn't really have the ability to do at first. Before we get into his Nen, as an assassin, Killua also has access to other abilities as well. And of course this goes for most of the members of the Zoldyick family.
My fault. You know. Let me skip it. I low-key want to watch this, but not right now. We're doing a video.
Gates, which makes their steps silent, and Rhythm Echo, which creates afterimages of himself to disorient his opponents. Now on to his Nen. Killua is a transmuter type, with his bread and butter ability seeing him turning his Nen aura into electricity, essentially turning him into a human stun gun. At its peak, Killua can use this electricity to make him move automatically and react to his surroundings or counterattack. This ability is called Whirlwind. He could also use his electricity to boost his own running and jumping speed with Godspeed using the same principle. Now, these abilities are great, but they are limited by the amount of energy that they use and how low the amount of energy Killua has is. And finally, Killua's most powerful weapon is all the drip he has. My god, this guy changes clothes like every 10 episodes, and it's always great. Next up is the eldest Zoldyick child with Illumi. He's probably the creepiest member of the family in my opinion, with a strange contrast in how he looks and how he talks. Despite having a nearly emotionless expression, he always talks in this kind of joyful and innocent way. However, that all changes when it comes to work, where he becomes absolutely ruthless. We've seen a kind of obsession and overprotectiveness towards Killua from Illumi, similar to the one that their mother has, but this is often shown in a very twisted way. For example, trying to keep him safe by implanting a pin in his brain that forces him to run away from strong opponents. While in general the Zoldicks have a rule against killing each other, Illumi sees no qualms about using the other members as he actively wants to gain control of Alluka and her powers. All of Illumi's abilities, outside of the typical assassin set, revolve around needles, which is just great. By sticking them into his own face, he can manipulate how he looks, often disguising himself as a man named Gitaracker. He can also implant needles into other people for several different effects, including hypnotizing them, controlling their corpses, or even just giving them an order that must be completed. Illumi is honestly a pretty cool and unique character through all of anime, not just in Hunter x Hunter, even despite seeming so flat on the surface. His interesting abilities and contrasting personality traits just make him super memorable. Yes, super creepy, but still super memorable. Miluki might be the least interesting in the Zoldicks, and that's probably because of his less than unique design, and the fact that he isn't really a fighting kind of character.
He's trash.
Miluki is a bit overweight. He's an otaku, and like the stereotypical kind of otaku, you know, not the fun kind. He's selfish, quick to anger, and he's very much a coward. So, you know, lots of redeeming qualities. We really get our first taste of him during the Zoldyick family arc, as with most of the members. However, when we get to meet Miluki, he is torturing and whipping his brother Killua, who is chained to the wall. Not a great introduction, I'm going to be honest. As I mentioned though, many of the Zoldicks have their own specialty, and while Miluki isn't a fighter, he is kind of more of a behind-the-scenes guy, hacking, inventing, all that. He can often feel a little bit flat as a character, sort of relying on those stereotypes of the otaku and the hacker man vibes, and it's probably why he falls so short to me. Honestly, if any of you like this dude, let me know in the comments and tell me why, cause I just don't see it. On the other hand, we have Alluka, who is both a jelly bean of adorableness and kind of a horrifying monster who just wants to be loved all at once. This might actually be one of my favorite characters in the series. She is super interesting to me. Alluka was possessed by a dark continent creature named Nanika, and together they share her body. We were always told about how soulless and uncontrollable she was, but then we actually meet her, and she's like the sweetest girl ever. Killua apparently brings out the best in her though, as he always treats her well, and it seems like he's the only one to do so, making a really interesting dynamic around her character. She is especially cool though because of Nanika, the creature inhabiting her. Nanika has this incredible Nen ability, which allows them to grant wishes with seemingly no limits on them. The only condition is that whoever the next person that Alluka requests things of has to complete 3 tasks, and if they can't, that new person and the one that they love most will be crushed to death. The bigger the previous wish, the more and more people beyond those 2 will die as a result. Because of this, Alluka is more or less locked away to keep people from being killed. However, Killua does make the argument that their family kills many more people than Alluka ever could. The biggest thing we see her do throughout the series is obviously healing Gon after his transformation, and after that she and Killua begin traveling together. Kaluto is the final child of the Zoldicks, and most notably, he's seen replacing Hisoka in the Phantom Troop. Kaluto is probably the least well-defined in terms of his own personality among his siblings. He's quiet, obedient, and just kind of always does whatever he's told. Despite this, Kaluto in general has an innate sense of superiority, sometimes leading him to brutally toying with his opponents and extending a fight. However, he's not too proud to realize that he actually might be the one lagging behind. For example, he quickly realizes that he is weaker than many of the other people in the Phantom Troop. While not exactly being the most powerful Nen ability, Kalutos is actually really cool. He's a manipulator who specializes in paper-based abilities. This can be both for surveillance and used offensively. With his Surveillance Paper Dolls ability, he can attach a piece of confetti to someone, and with a paper doll version of that person, he can listen in on everything happening around them. And if he needs to attack, he can use Dance of the Serpent's Bite, which basically turns shreds of paper into a tornado which revolves around the enemy and slices them to bits. It's not exactly incredibly powerful, but over time it will definitely do some damage. The current leader of the Zoldyiks, and the father of everyone mentioned so far, is Silva Zoldyick. While he looks a little bit scary at first, he's pretty calm and restrained as a person. He also seems like he is just generally a good guy for the most part, aside from the whole assassination thing. As a father, he seems to believe that his children need to make steps on their own for their own personal journeys. While he wants Killua to become the next head of the family, and he is sure he eventually will fill that role, he still seems to respect that Killua isn't interested in that right now, and is willing to let him travel the world with Gon. This is actually pretty in line with Silva's philosophy for assassination, believing that no assassin should make their move until victory is guaranteed. Speaking of his assassination abilities, he is arguably the best in the world. If not, then he's very close. Killua mentions how he can even take out a man's heart without spilling a drop of blood, and that's when he's trying to be sneaky. If he actually wants to kill and doesn't mind being a bit flashy, he can rely on his Nen. Just like Killua, he's a transmuter, creating massive balls of energy from his aura that can be thrown at his opponents and explode on impact, apparently being strong enough to even kill people like Zeno or Crollo. Zeno is Silva's father, and is probably one of the best characters in the series. He's just this quick-witted old man who's insanely powerful despite his age.
When I saw him fight
It's likely that Silva got his philosophy on assassination from Zeno, as the old man is much more of a strategist than a head-on fighter. As is the case for the best of the Zoldyiks, Zeno has a pretty interesting moral code, only choosing to kill those that he has a contract for killing, and otherwise trying to avoid killing innocent people if possible. For example, we see him losing his will to fight after accidentally injuring the innocent Komugi, choosing to leave the battle with Meruem after ensuring that no other innocents would be hurt. Zeno, just like Silva and Killua, is a transmuter, but where Silva seemed to have also had a knack for enhancer skills, Zeno has instead developed his emitter skills. Most of his abilities see him shaping his aura into attacks, such as aura blasts or creating dragons to ride or attack with. At the end of the day, Zeno is just kind of this stereotypical powerful old anime dude with flashy attacks, but he also has a strong moral compass, and his dynamic within the Zoldyick family, specifically how he adores Killua and dislikes Miluki, just add a lot of fun in there as well. This dude kind of feels like a grandpa that kids would look up to, and I've just always loved him. Kikyo is Silva's wife, and she is a little bit crazy. Firstly,
no, she crazy. She is crazy. That woman's crazy. I don't care. She is crazy. But I still, Hunter x Hunter was a good show. It's a good show. It's a good show for people to start off in anime.
It's kind of hard to get past her design. The big poofy bustle gown, her huge hat, bandages all over her body, and that cyborg-like visor covering her eyes can be a lot. But when you add in her obsessive doting over Killua and the heavy expectations that she has for him, as well as how she can become suspicious of any friends that he makes because they might ruin his potential, you have the makings of a crazy woman. And that's not even mentioning how violent and cruel she is. Like, yeah, Silva will kill people, but Kikyo will use and abuse them and see nothing wrong with it. There isn't really that much that we know about her outside of these obsessions, other than she was actually from Meteor City, much like Crollo and much of the Phantom Troop, and of course we still don't know her Nen abilities. Now the last two members we really don't have much information on at all. Maha Zoldyick is the oldest member, being over 120 years old. All that we really know about him is that he's an enhancer, that Netero is the only person to fight him and survive, and that he has no connections personally with anyone else in his family. And finally, Zeno is his grandson. Outside of that, he's just kind of this bald old guy doing his own thing. And lastly, we have Zig, who had joined Netero on his journey to the Dark Continent in the past, And that's literally all we know about him. Beyond this, we have a slew of butlers and servants who work for them. People like Canary, Goto, Tsubone, etc. There's a whole lot of them, but in general they all kind of serve the same purpose, to serve and protect the family as best as they can. However, the most important Zoldyick servant definitely has to be Mike, who is just a good boy. And that wraps up this video on the Zoldyick family. There are a ton of cool characters in here, and also Miluki and Kikyo. But who are your favorites? For me, it's definitely between Aluka and Zeno. I love Aluka's character so much, and the idea of Faustian wishes is always one of my favorite tropes, but the twist of them affecting the next person rather than the wisher itself is so cool. And Zeno is just kind of Zeno, you know? What more do you need? Let me know your own opinions down below, though. And if you enjoy this video and you want to see more Hunter x Hunter content on this
channel, this was an amazing video about the homies. But hey, that's the end of the video, cuz. Hey, that's the end of the video. Go like it. Go subscribe. I have the original video down in the description below. But hey, after that, I'm done, bro. I'm done. I'm just done. This was a good video. We just enjoy. We watch. Enjoy. But hey, shout out to the homie. That was a great video. Oh, shit. That's just how it looked. I was like, bro, I'm not ashy. But hey, peace.